SHEIN claims they're on-demand fashion, not fast fashion, but is this marketing genius or deception? The numbers tell a story. While Zara takes 6 months to get a trend from runway to store, SHEIN does it in 7 days. They say they only produce what customers actually want, using real-time data to minimize waste. But here's the thing, they're still churning out thousands of new items daily. The shocking truth is, they've cracked the code on what Gen Z actually wants to buy. It's not about luxury anymore. It's about choice, variety, and finding pieces that match their personal style, letting them curate their own aesthetic, rather than adopting a brand's predetermined look. More than just the thrill of finding something unique for $3, they're selling the ability to experiment with different identities without breaking the bank. They turn data into dollars while traditional brands struggle to keep up. But first, let's examine their biggest claim, that they're not fast fashion at all. Let's start with SHEIN's official positioning. They say, "We only produce what customers demand." Sounds revolutionary, right? Their executives talk about using artificial intelligence and real-time customer feedback to create a supply chain that responds to actual demand instead of predicting trends months in advance. Here's how their production cycle actually works. Traditional retailers like H&M or Zara plan collections 6 months ahead. They guess what you'll want next season, produce massive quantities, and hope they're right. SHEIN flipped this model. They use a 7 to 10 day cycle from trend identification to product availability. They test small batches, typically 100 to 200 pieces per design, monitor social media reactions, and scale production based on real customer behavior. Donald Tang, SHEIN's executive chairman, explains their model as fundamentally different from fast fashion. He says they're reducing waste by producing only what sells. In theory, this sounds brilliant. No more warehouses full of unsold inventory ending up in landfills. The reality check? They're creating micro-trends that cycle faster than ever before. Instead of seasonal collections, you get daily drops. Instead of buying 4 outfits per season, customers buy 40 items. Tang claims studies show their customers actually wear items longer than traditional fast fashion customers, though the constant influx of new micro-trends suggests otherwise. The psychological trigger changes from "I need a winter coat" to "I need this specific aesthetic for this weekend's vibe." Think about this from a business perspective. Traditional fast fashion created waste through overproduction, making too many items that nobody wanted. SHEIN creates waste through overconsumption, making exactly what people want, but training them to want new things constantly. The environmental question becomes complex. Are they actually better for the planet? They produce less waste per individual item because their data tells them exactly what will sell. But they're producing exponentially more items overall because they've gamified shopping into a daily habit instead of a seasonal necessity. Their real-time data system is genuinely sophisticated. They track everything: what you click, how long you stay on product pages, what you add to cart but don't buy, even what you search for but can't find. This data drives production decisions within hours, not months. What Donald Tang doesn't mention in interviews is that this system is still fundamentally fast fashion. It's just faster and more precise. They've solved the business problem of unsold inventory while creating a consumer behavior problem of constant purchasing. The on-demand label is technically accurate but practically misleading. They're not responding to natural demand. They're creating artificial demand through psychological triggers, then fulfilling it efficiently. The genius isn't in the sustainability claims, it's in reframing overconsumption as personalization and choice. So how did they convince an entire generation to buy into this system? The answer lies in understanding what Gen Z actually values. Here's where SHEIN's real genius shows up. They figured out that Gen Z doesn't want what their parents wanted. Previous generations bought luxury brands for status. A Coach bag or designer jeans meant something to your social circle. But Gen Z grew up with social media, where your outfit gets seen once and then disappears into the digital void. So SHEIN asked a different question. What if we gave them infinite variety instead of expensive status symbols? What if we made shopping feel like a treasure hunt, where you could afford to experiment with every aesthetic trend you see online? The psychology shift is massive. Millennials saved up for one expensive item they'd wear repeatedly. Gen Z wants 50 cheap items they can mix, match, and move on from. SHEIN didn't just adapt to this behavior, they amplified it through gamification strategies that make shopping addictive. Their limited quantity strategy creates artificial scarcity. You'll see only 3 left, or 47 people have this in their cart. Classic FOMO marketing. But here's the twist. They restock popular items under slightly different product codes with minor variations. That dress you missed? It's back next week in a slightly different shade, making you feel like you discovered something new. The flash sales follow variable reward schedules. This unpredictability keeps customers checking the app multiple times daily. Not because they need anything, but because they might miss a deal. Their social media integration turns every customer into an unpaid marketing team. The app encourages photo reviews with points and discounts. Suddenly, your Instagram story wearing a SHEIN outfit becomes free advertising to your entire network. They've created a system where showing off your purchase helps them acquire your friends as customers. The shopping experience itself feels like a treasure hunt instead of traditional retail browsing. Traditional stores organize by category, all dresses together, all tops together. SHEIN's algorithm creates a personalized feed that mixes categories, price points, and styles. You might scroll past a $3 phone case, then a $15 dress, then accessories for an aesthetic you've never tried. This random discovery pattern triggers the same brain chemistry as gambling. Their localization strategies show sophisticated market understanding. In the US, they emphasize individual expression and trend-forward pieces. In conservative markets, they adjust the same designs with longer hemlines or higher necklines. In price-sensitive regions, they lead with their lowest-cost items. Same supply chain, different psychological positioning for each market. The price psychology deserves special attention. They've made $3 feel like a steal instead of cheap. How? Context and comparison. That dress isn't positioned against other $3 items. It's positioned against similar styles from Zara that cost $40. The savings feel massive, even though the quality difference is obvious. But the real psychological hook is choice paralysis turned into excitement. Traditional retailers limit options to avoid overwhelming customers. SHEIN does the opposite. They flood you with options and make the abundance feel exciting rather than stressful. Their algorithm learns your preferences and serves up endless variations on themes you like. The community aspect amplifies everything. Customer photos aren't just reviews, they're inspiration. You see real people styling items in ways you hadn't considered. The review section becomes a collaborative mood board where customers teach each other how to make cheap pieces look expensive. Here's what's brilliant from a business perspective. They've turned shopping from a transaction into entertainment. Customers don't just buy products. They engage with content, participate in trends, and build communities around shared aesthetics. The app becomes social media, gaming, and shopping rolled into one experience. Think about this psychological shift. Previous generations asked, "Do I need this?" Gen Z asks, "Does this match my current vibe?" SHEIN built their entire business model around serving vibes instead of needs. They're not selling clothes. They're selling the ability to experiment with identity at a price point that makes mistakes feel affordable. The result? Customer lifetime value that comes from frequency, not individual purchase size. Instead of one customer buying one expensive item, they have millions of customers making dozens of small purchases. The math works because they've made shopping habitual rather than occasional. This is why traditional brands struggle to compete. They're still trying to sell products while SHEIN sells possibilities. But here's what they don't want you to see: the sophisticated manipulation machine running in the background. Now, let's talk about what happens behind SHEIN's friendly, colorful interface. Because while they're selling you choice and affordability, they're running one of the most sophisticated data collection and behavioral targeting systems in retail history. Their algorithm doesn't just track what you buy, it tracks everything you don't buy. How long you hesitate before adding something to cart, which photos you zoom in on, what time of day you're most likely to make impulse purchases. They're building psychological profiles that would make social media companies jealous. The flash sales aren't random. They're personalized psychological triggers. The algorithm knows when you're most vulnerable to spending. Maybe you browse more on Sunday evenings when you're planning your week. Maybe you spend more after getting paid. The system learns these patterns and times its special offers accordingly. The hidden costs are carefully obscured. That $3 dress becomes $8 with shipping, then $12 when you add the insurance they recommend, then $15 when you realize you need to order a size up based on reviews. But the psychological anchor of $3 stays in your mind throughout the process. Their influencer partnerships blur the lines between content and advertising in ways that would be illegal in traditional media. Micro-influencers get free products in exchange for honest reviews that feel authentic, but are actually coordinated marketing campaigns. Your favorite TikToker's SHEIN haul isn't spontaneous discovery, it's a calculated business transaction disguised as personal sharing. The data harvesting operation extends far beyond shopping. They're building comprehensive lifestyle profiles. What music you listen to while shopping, what other apps you use, how your spending patterns correlate with your social media activity. This data becomes valuable far beyond just selling you clothes. Most importantly, they've created what behavioral economists call mental accounting errors. That $15 total feels reasonable because you're buying 5 items, only $3 each. SHEIN mastered selling what people want to want, not what they need. They've built a machine that creates desire, fulfills it instantly, then creates new desire before the satisfaction fades. The genius isn't in their supply chain or their prices. It's an understanding that modern consumers don't want to own things. They want to experience possibilities. Think about what they actually accomplished here. They took the most criticized industry in retail, fast fashion, and rebranded it as personalized, on-demand creativity. They turned shopping from a chore into entertainment, from ownership into experimentation. Most importantly, they made customers feel smart while spending more money than they ever intended. For entrepreneurs, the lesson is crystal clear. Focus on the psychology and experience, not just the product. SHEIN didn't win by making better clothes. They won by making shopping feel better. They identified what their generation actually valued: choice, variety, self-expression, financial cleverness, and built every aspect of their business around delivering those feelings. The real question isn't whether SHEIN is fast fashion or on-demand fashion. The real question is whether you understand what your customers want to feel when they interact with your brand. Because if you can make people feel creative, smart, and ahead of trends, they'll keep coming back, regardless of what you're actually selling. Subscribe for more business breakdowns that reveal what's really happening behind the marketing, because the most successful companies are the ones whose genius is only visible when you understand the whole plan.